Hello, my lovelies, and welcome again to Where the Road Rises, Law, Lessons, Legacy. With me, your host, Eileen Curlin-Walsh. A critical element of our show, and indeed Channel 4's mission, is to educate. And since many of you are seniors and care for seniors, we try to bring you valuable information for your lives. Today, we're going to tackle again the care of seniors who, either through accident, illness, or just great years, are becoming unable to care for themselves. Our guest today, Terry Max-Einer, Vice President of Providence Solutions, dedicates her life to elder care and helping families navigate their options at that frightening and confusing time. Terry finds solutions for her seniors' unique care needs, geographic area, and financial capabilities, whether it is with a Providence facility or elsewhere. Terry has a wealth of experience with aging issues, having served in the geriatric nursing field for over 35 years. In addition to her nursing degrees, she is certified in many specialized elder care disciplines. She is passionate about research and education and teaches seniors, caregivers, senior care professionals, and the community at large how to safely, sensitively, and positively navigate the aging process. And we are grateful Terry will share her knowledge with us today. Welcome.
Thank
Terry.
you. Thank you, Eileen, so much for having me. What a pleasure to be here with you.
And we're glad to have you.
Well, thank you.
Terry, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your story and how you came to the world of senior care and how you found your mission there?
So my mission started in nursing school. I fell in love with the senior population probably from the get-go. And I knew after doing a pediatric rotation, that was not going to be it. Kids were cute, but mom and dad's not so cute. But then who wouldn't be when I'm dealing with an ill child? Yes. So, working with the adult population happened after I started home care. So I was a home health nurse, and normally that is the geriatric population who are under their Medicare benefit getting home health care. So I just found, when this was probably, I'm dating myself 25, 30 years ago, that our option to care for seniors just wasn't that good. We stayed at home, and then we went to a nursing home. And so our choices were so limited. And I thought there's got to be more to this than that. And I'd watch a lot of situations where the adult children weren't around. Things are different now. Our adult children go away to college, they marry someone, and then they may stay out that way. No one is really coming back home. We don't see those strong extended families anymore. So I thought, where is there a way that we can get seniors what they need? It seems like we couldn't get them that access to care. So in home care, I really kind of wore two hats of being half of a social worker and half of a nurse, because it would break my heart when I knew that I had to discharge a client, and I'm like, what's going to happen with them? Are we going to see them back in the system again because something went wrong, because the need went unmet? So I just had a passion for seniors. I just love their stories. I mean, our World War II vets, they're leaving us. And these are some of the guys that have stories that aren't in our history books. And you sit with those seniors, it's just a joy. Going through photo albums with them, So again, my passion was this group. They're living well. They live their life well. They need to live their golden years well.
I love it. We are kindred spirits.
Yes.
I am so drawn to my senior care, my senior clients as an estate planning attorney. And I always say their most valuable thing they have to leave is their story.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know it. And, we kind of remind them, we are kind of an oral tradition. Tell those stories. I try to encourage my seniors, if you don't feel like writing anymore, you know what? Tape it. Because this next generation, your great-great-grandchildren that you may never meet, wow, what can you leave to them? Because history books are not going to have what you really told, And
indeed, I have a program where I help seniors how to write their story. It's called An Ethical Will. My viewers have heard me talk about it many times, but it's just such an essential part of their care is for someone to listen to their stories.
Exactly.
When they tell the stories, they have a role to play in the family again, and then that priceless gift is passed on through the generations.
I mean, how cool, we talk about, people leaving time capsules, but then we wait time to open that, but to have that story from a great-great-grandmother that I never had a chance to meet, but heard so much about her.
And how maybe her story could help or inform your life.
You never know. Absolutely.
Love it.
So true.
So what role do you play in helping seniors, and how do you help families navigate that brave new world?
Yeah, it is. I have to say a lot of times it is out of emergent. Getting a call through Providence Solutions because mom has maybe landed in the emergency room and they just don't know what to do next. They didn't plan for this. A lot of times too, it's like, I think there's some options for care for mom, but we just don't even know where to start. You know, what is this local Department of Aging? Out here in this community, we have PLOWS.
Yes,
PLOWS is
wonderful.
amazing. But people then get confused about that whole navigation process. They think it's all needs-based. It is not. There's care options for people, even if funds are a little bit higher and they can afford care. So the thing is, I think the best scenario is people call just saying, Terry, I need clarity. Where do I even start? Do I start with paperwork? Do I start with investigating mom or dad's finances to see where we need to go? Where do I start? And I say there's 3 parts to your care plan. One of them is the law. And I say law is all the legal paperwork. POA, trust, wills, your estate plan. Number 2 is financial. What do you have? You know, and the fortunate thing, people are outliving their money. So again, it's planning for that. And then the 4th piece is a healthcare plan. You know your care options. Know what some of these buildings are. And I know we'll kind of talk about that later, is just understanding the system.
Yes.
Who cares for what and who pays for what.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are some of the signs, the first signs that a family might look for that their senior is no longer able to take care of themselves in their own homes?
Yeah, and that is such a great question, because I think the adult child that doesn't visit regularly, they may be the first one to see the sign. They're coming in, maybe mom's just a little more disheveled than she's always been. I'm noticing that the pill box has all the pills on Monday and nothing through the rest of the week. Another key one, the refrigerator. Believe it or not, how is mom keeping her food? Does she understand what needs to be thrown away? How old is food? Do we have the leftover turkey dinner that you brought her 3 months ago still in the refrigerator? Observing, smells. Also, too, the other thing that I tell people, please, if you're not with your older adult loved one that often, keep in touch of what they're doing and who they're with. We have had, and just in my personal arena with clients, is some really fraudulent behavior where some of these older adults get a little too friendly and comfortable with people they shouldn't be. So all of a sudden, mom has got this good friend, Sandy, and Sandy wants to start doing all this care and services for mom. Well, who is Sandy? Yeah. Where did we meet? So, those are the things. Is there a new circle of friends that mom is with, or, younger people that are starting to get involved in care that you've never heard about before? We want to investigate that. And then, of course, physically how mom is, and then, of course, medically, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said, you talked about those 4 steps to get in place, and one of them being legal. And as you know, of course, I do estate planning, and I'm always telling my viewers and my audiences, if you don't do anything else, at least get these little powers of attorney.
Yes.
Inexpensive,
very good,
valuable power of attorney for healthcare finance in place. So you're out there in the field, you see the family in need.
See it.
So maybe you could tell our viewers a little bit about the value of that document and what happens when it's not in place.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I tell people, if you don't make a plan's going to be made for you. And with that being said, is that power of attorney, sometimes we want to go with the oldest child. Oh, she's just the oldest, most responsible. Well, maybe she's not a really good decision maker when things start getting critical. She's the one who gets a little frenzied. Maybe that's not the one. And then understanding, too, that power of attorney is going to be making your decisions. So let your decisions be known.
Yes.
And, and you can just help me understand this a little bit more, but I imagine in the state of Illinois, we can't have 3 different power of attorneys. We have one and then successors, am I right?
Absolutely.
So I think a big problem, and you've probably seen this too, Eileen, is that a couple in their 80s are POA for each other with no successor.
No backup,
so they're aging together. Well, maybe one might get some form of dementia, cannot answer the other questions for the other one. What do we do? So that successor one is I talk very well about, especially with couples who have been childless. Is there a niece, a nephew, or a trusted friend that you can put in that document? And then the role of the POA is to really understand know your person, know their chronic diseases, know what hospitals they usually go to when there is an ER call or a 911 call. Know enough about them so you can answer the questions, because again, as a healthcare piece, you may make decisions for them for the next steps of care.
Yes.
And financially, know where their finances are at. Does mom have 7 different bank accounts somewhere? Know where everything is at, so at least you can have it ready access if funds that need to be paid for maybe extended nursing home care, in-home care. So absolutely.
Yeah, and I do find when clients, when members of our community do not have children, or there's an estrangement, or their children are very far away, it's so important and often difficult to find those trusted agents.
Yes.
And I let my viewers know that we do have agencies. There is help. There are agencies who will act not just as executors, professional trustees, but who will step up and make these decisions
Yes.
on a day-to-day basis, like Life Care Innovations. So what I want our viewers to know, that be it family or not, be
Right.
they high net worth or of modest means, there is help for
There is.
everyone, and the best time to put it in place is while we still have capacity.
Absolutely. Yeah, because once capacity is gone, then we're looking at that guardianship arena, and that can be in a very expensive process.
Yes, yes. What if there are more than one child and the siblings don't agree on the parent care?
That has been a difficult one. And that's where kind of my role comes in a lot as a geriatric care manager, because I'm the neutral party looking at the older adult, not really looking across the table at some of the dynamics that have maybe gone wrong, that maybe your brother threw that peanut butter and jelly sandwich at you at 8 years old and you just can't get over that. So my piece is to really advocate for the older adult loved one, give them neutral information, because I have no emotional investment in this. I'm just focused really on mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whoever I'm working with. So a lot of times, I have said to folks, this is where my role is so important, because you may have a situation that I had even earlier this year. Was we had many siblings. One of the adult children lived with mom and needed to be there because he couldn't find work. So, and then we had other adult children who had stronger financial means, who were better in a financial picture than they were. So son who was living in the house didn't want mom to go anywhere. But mom really needed some placement. With the type of dementia she had. She was going to do fantastic in community. So it really was educating. And then, of course, putting support in for him to see what we can do to help him get more independent. So it really is kind of a comprehensive approach. So I always do highly recommend, if not the services from Providence Solutions with their care management, that is what the great thing about a care manager is. They help really, we crisis intervene for them, help family counsel, just to say that, hey, this is the best thing for mom.
That voice that's not that's the professional voice, not emotionally attached.
Exactly.
No one feels backed into a corner with that
Exactly.
person. So
I am
can
not
see the
representing
value.
any sibling. I'm just looking at mom or dad. What's best for them.
So Terry, if we can get past who mom or dad picks from the siblings to be the agents, what if the child feels pressured, feels that they weren't necessarily the favorite, that they maybe didn't even get along terribly well with the parents, and now they feel thrust into that role? Have you encountered that situation, and how do you navigate it?
Absolutely. And the thing is what I'm telling them is really it's about honoring your parent, And sometimes there has been difficult relationships, that dad maybe wasn't the best father in the world, or mom was neglectful some way or some other. But the thing is, I think it is opportune time to really get involved in mom and dad's care. I have seen mended relationships that have come back together because the adult child said, okay, I'm going to do this because I have to. I'm kind of doing it, leaving some heel marks in the parking lot. I don't really want to do this. But then the relationship has mended. And I share with people too, as I am helping care for my older adult that I didn't pretty much have a great relationship with, my children are watching. And how much they're saying, wow, you're taking care of grandma, and I know that you and grandma really had kind of a strained relationship. Yeah, but this is what we're called to do. Yeah. So there ends up being a blessing out of this, there really does.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the fact that your children are watching regardless how you were treated. And we talked a little earlier about storytelling, and I know of a situation where the child who was thrust into the caregiving role, deeply resentful, dad had never been home, always away working, a little bitter, not terribly close, and the child felt, now I'd have to neglect my own family to take care of the dad who was never there for me. But through the caregiving, as you say, relationships began being mended. She learned her father's story. He had been abused when he was a child. He had been neglected. He ran away home, joined the military very young, worked hard his entire life, was determined his family would never be abused or neglected, to the point that he worked all the way up to his retirement, got colon cancer within 2 years of retirement, never had that payback time. But his daughter not only discovered why he was always gone, but she also realized where she got her resilience. That was one of her qualities. And he told the story, the relationship got mended, and they did have some precious time. So I can see that if we can get past the heel marks in the parking lot, I love that, there is value to be gained all around by doing that caretaking as long as it can be done. Because of course there comes a time, as you referred to earlier, that mom or dad cannot be cared for at home.
And there is a time where we need a team, you know, especially in the dementia realm when behaviors are getting so strong and maybe we're having some sundowning, we're not sleeping. And we've hired a caregiver in there, but the burnout, because she is just exhausted. And we had earlier talked about just the exhaustion that happens with a paid caregiver coming in, let alone a family caregiver who is just exhausted. She may be caring for mom, but still has to get up in the morning and get to work and maybe get her younger children off to work. So, you know, that's when I help families understand. I know the promise was I would never, ever, ever put mom in a so-called home. But sometimes it takes a team, a fresh team every 8 hours to enjoy mom, her to enjoy the social, the activities, you know, and like I said, especially in that dementia realm, because it can get difficult.
Yes, yes. Maybe you could help us without spending a lot of time in this, but we do get asked by the community over and over what the difference between independent living, assisted living, memory care, the various tiers, nursing homes. Could you talk us through what those different tiers of care outside the home are?
Yeah, so usually what it starts out is independent living, is senior apartment living. So with that normally comes in no care, you know, no services. Basically, I am choosing to live in community building, usually elevator building or townhouses. And with that is a monthly rent, and most of the time just people will choose that because I don't want to care for my home anymore as far as outside maintenance, all of that is cared for. Plus there usually is a social realm involved with activities. But basically we're looking at people very independent, still driving. So then the next tier down when I need some assistance is assisted living. Assisted living is a part of care where the team assists. So what it is someone who needs assistance with usually 2 ADLs or less. Maybe I just need medication oversight and someone to help me with lower body dressing. So, but I'm still able to transfer myself, but with no more than one person assistance. But the assisted living realm comes traditional, which is out-of-pocket private pay, where you go into a building, you're assessed, and then they give you a care package, and then you're paying for how much care needs mom and dad needs. The other flip side financially to that is assisted living under supportive living, and that's where Medicaid can come in and pay for your housing expense there. So that tier would be for folks that have that financial piece that can't quite afford that. So then you'll go through that Medicaid process with that building that you're at. So assisted living looks the same, we just have 2 different payer sources for that. Then next comes to skilled care. This is the point of time where my care needs are too high for assisted living. I may need more than one person to help me transfer. I'm spending more time in bed. My chronic disease is needing that skilled observation, that 24-hour nursing in place, where I'm really needing a more watchful eye. So those are kind of the tiers. And with the skilled care realm is also the ability to pay privately, or most all of the nursing homes do take Medicaid too. So, and a lot of the nursing homes, or we call them skilled care communities, also house people who are coming in for short-term rehab. So they might just be coming in for 2 weeks following my hip, following my cardiac episode, a fall or whatever, coming in for under their Medicare benefits. So in that kind of nursing home or senior skilled care community, you may see one part of the building people coming and going more often because they're just doing a short-term stay, where the other half may be long-term care, what people are calling this their home.
Yes.
Their home. So those are the tiers, and then there's one last one, and it's called a CCRC. It's Continuing Care Retirement Communities, and they are what I just said, except for the supportive living. So they're independent living, assisted living, sometimes memory-supported assisted living, and skilled nursing, all in one large community. And there is one community I did forget, and that's memory-supported assisted living. So those are for the folks that they're at that assisted living level, but they need a secured environment. These are for people that are exit seeking, you know. I want to go home. I'm constantly going out every time. Any chance I can get out the door, I will. And what's so beautiful about those memory-supported assisted living, they have programs especially for people with Alzheimer's or any other form of dementia.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So we have quite a variety, and it is amazing. So again, a lot of my job too has been kind of explaining, and also to be the first eyes to kind of say, you know, Mom might do good in this community. Oh, we are thinking that she needs to go to a nursing home. No, Mom's still got some capacity. There's some things that we can work on. Let's try this. You know, the idea is we don't want to keep moving people through the system.
Yes.
So we really want to find that good fit for them.
And you do educate people on that.
Absolutely.
And I noticed, because it is overwhelming. I've heard that so many times. And you have a YouTube series where you go through many of the different aspects of senior living.
Yes.
And you mentioned falling, and I noticed that you had both written a blog and did one of your YouTube series on fall prevention. You also talk about healthy eating, life enrichment. So maybe talk a little bit about, if we are still able to be in our homes, some of the ways that we can make a life a little richer, or for caregivers, how the caregivers can keep their seniors' life rich.
Exactly. And really everybody wants to start at home. And sometimes it's looking at that home. When I first started home care, I had the blessing of being in the south side of Chicago. Well, a lot of those homes were not built for a senior to age. The bedrooms and bathrooms were all upstairs.
Yes.
Downstairs was the kitchen and living room. So, and then we had to navigate like 13 stairs up. And then the bathroom was so small, you're trying to think, how can a caregiver and an older adult navigate this safely with nobody falling? So I think now we're seeing companies that help adapt homes. We're seeing companies that will come in and do stair lifts. So I partner with those companies, and it's amazing. So I think when we're looking at the home, the first thing that I like to do is just kind of do a safety awareness check. Let's see what's going on. Is this going to be the safest place for Mom and Dad? And then the home care arena is two different elements again. You've got non-skilled, which is your private paid, private caregivers, also known as private duty care. And for folks to come in and to assist Mom, whether it's 4 hours a day, 1 day a week, to live and help. And then if Mom has a skilled need where maybe she's had a hip surgery, she went to the hospital, then went to rehab, and now she was returning home, home health care under her Medicare benefit or some Medicare Advantage benefits can come in and do on-site home health care under that. But it's usually very short, and it's called intermittent, so they're not there daily. So there is options of care. Also too, I really try to connect people with their local Department of Aging. You would be surprised how many services they have. Meals on Wheels, community meals, sometimes respite services. So there is a lot of options to care. So the times when I'm really dealing with folks and it's not going to work out is usually sometimes with the dementia realm, where the behaviors are getting too bad or the home just can't be adapted. We've tried so hard, but we just can't make it that safe zone. And the idea is we want our senior to succeed. You know, I mean, it really is about that quality of life.
And how do you find, Terry, that senior who always wanted to stay at home, the son who wanted to keep Mom at home, and you know it's not safe and you know it's not possible, and they move into the proper facility for them, what's right for their income level, what's right for them in every other way. How do they adjust? Do you see a positive level of adjustment?
I do. I would have to say, you know, after we've kind of allowed them the choice to see what we can do to stay at home as long as we can, I would say 95% of the time, I get the question, or no, I get the statement, why did we wait so long? Because we made the right choice. I've seen more joy, years added to people's lives, because again, they're in community. We're meant for community. We really are. And when I find that some of these seniors, they're community is them and the TV. You know, what quality do we have? We have such an increase in social isolation, and that's a huge thing. Me as an older adult, a lot of my neighbors have either moved or died. Younger families coming in that I really don't have that common with. They're very nice. A lot of my friends have passed away. My adult children may be gone. So and all of a sudden, guess what? I'm not able to drive. Maybe it's either been my choice or whatever. So my world has shrunk, very much so. And again, you know, we find out that people in community will eat better. People, if you're eating alone, usually, oh, not that hungry or whatever. So we really feel the benefits of that community living. But yeah, I would have to say in the years that I've been doing this, most people said, why did we wait so long?
I love
Why
that.
did we?
And
Yeah.
new friendships.
Exactly.
New communities,
Oh,
activities.
yes, and these, God bless all these folks that work in these communities, because really their goal is, how do we make mom or dad integrate well? And the first thing the adult children are like, well, maybe I need to visit mom every day. I'm like, you know what, it's just like sending kind of a child to camp. Let them love on her and let her love on them, and let's see how this relationship builds, you know? So it is, and it is for even the adult children, because there's that sense of guilt. Why couldn't we make homework?
Oh,
And
that's
it's, you know, it just, sometimes option A wasn't. We have to go with option B.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. That is so positive. What do you like most about this life's work, taking care of seniors and their families?
What do I not like about it? I think the joy when I see the adult children said, you know what, Terry, I can finally sleep all night and not worry about mom and dad. That is probably the biggest compliment that I can feel in my heart when they're saying, you know what, that sense of worry. You don't know how far, you know, I'm worrying from afar. I'm in Philadelphia, mom's here in the south suburbs of Chicago. But I think just to say that this is all good. And the other thing is, my visits with mom and dad are now good visits. Before it was, come to mom's house. What do you need from the grocery store? Do we have to pick up your medications? Let me run the vacuum for you. Oh, the lawn hasn't been mowed. Let me get one of the kids over here. Where when someone is safely placed in community, or we have the support in home, it's good quality visits that they're having. They're a daughter again. They're a son again.
Yes,
instead
richer
of being,
time.
yeah, instead of being that caretaker, errand runner.
I love it. If our viewers want to know more about what you do, or Providence, or have some questions for you, how
absolutely.
do they get a hold of you, Terry?
That is a great question. So yes, audience, just love for you to reach out to me, Providence Solutions, and our number is 708-342-8090. And also we have a very vibrant website, which Eileen had talked about with our YouTube, and that's www.providencelifesolutions.com. So please reach out to me, helping you navigate free consultations. I'm always ready for your call, because I know those murky waters, and sometimes all we just need is clarity. Just where do I start first?
That's been terrific. Any final thoughts for our audience?
Oh, just, you know what? You're never too young to make your plan. You know, my audience, you know, my customers, I laugh, are my friends, you know, women in their late 50s, going through their 60s. And I think they're seeing what's happening with mom and dad going, I just don't want that for me. So that's when the resource, when, you know, attorney Eileen is here, visit with her, get all your ducks in a row, and review. And I know that's something I always tell. If your documents have not been reviewed, review them. And review them often, because things happen in life. Our adult children divorce, and maybe we had that daughter-in-law on a document and she's not within the family anymore. So yeah, and I know, Eileen, you talk a lot to your clients about the idea that just because you had a document 40 years ago.
Yes, Terry, that was terrific information. Thanks
You
so
are
much
so
for visiting.
welcome.
Thanks for sharing
Oh,
with
it's
our
my pleasure.
viewers. If you have any questions for Terry, her information's on the screen. You know how to get a hold of her. If you have any questions for Channel 4, if you have any ideas for show ideas for the future, just contact Channel 4, or you can always contact me at Carolyn Walsh Law, 708-448-5169. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on Where the Road Rises. Goodbye.